All right, let's say hello to Kron Gracie, who returns to action December 12th. He faces Tom Pucciano for the Victory Fighting League featherweight title in New York City in the main event of VFL's The Road to Redemption. Kron, it's good to see you, my man. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's obviously a big opportunity for you in your return to MMA competition for the first time in a little over a year by the time the fight happens. Last time we saw you, it was the fight with Bryce Mitchell. Tough night for you. Bryce gets the knockout after the slam and the elbows. How would you describe what that night and that fight was like for you?
I was fighting a top guy. Obviously, he was in the top 15, and I knew it was going to be a tough fight, but I was very confident and I was doing well, and I had a lot of confidence in my guard and pulling guard, and um, I just made a mistake and I paid for it. So I feel like that's just kind of the name of the game. Sometimes you slip and you should have zagged, and then you get cracked, and felt like that's what happened. Like as actual technical point of view, there was some technical mistakes I made, and that's why I paid the price. But this is the fight business, and I know the game is dangerous, and that's what it is. So it's nothing it's nothing new to me, or nothing like I'm shocked about, or uh, it didn't really change anything in my mind. I was actually trying to get back into that fighting as soon as possible, and it just kind of took a long time for me to get another fight. So I didn't try to take this year off the way it happened. I was trying to get back in fighting, trying to get motivated to get on another card and continue. I felt like that was kind of like my momentum to get back into it, and it just kind of, some things didn't happen the way it should have, and it took a little longer, and now we're finally getting it done. So it's not like I try to take this year off.
Yeah, because I think it's important to clarify because depending on where you look, it says that you were released by the UFC and you weren't released by the UFC. So I just think that's important to note because you fought out your deal and then they chose just not to resign you. So it's not like they cut you or anything. Were you surprised by that, or because I mean, like you said, you were hoping to get back in there sooner? Did you think they may just give you another chance to rectify that?
At the time, I was fighting a top 15 guy, and I think like anything that was going to happen, I don't think I would think I was going to get another fight. Just generally, you're fighting a top guy. If you win or lose, you should be able to stay in the game. But I think the way that I fought, the way I pulled guard, and the way that it happened, a lot of fans were disappointed, and I lost a lot of stock in that transition. So I think that's kind of like, as a fan and as a business, the UFC is a business. They kind of, it makes sense for them to be like, well, you lost a lot of fans, like, go get your fans back, go get some wins and see what happens. But I can understand, it's a business. Like, if pulling guard is going to be that much of a detriment to the ability to keep fighting and the ability to make money, then fuck it, I won't pull guard ever again. And I already made that decision. Kind of done with pulling guard. I always do really well from pulling guard, and it was kind of like something that I had in my back pocket. But I feel like now, like, not only for myself, I have to try to get on top. I have to try to be effective in different positions. And I kind of didn't really have that mindset because I was so successful from the bottom, generally.
So I mean, is that I guess how they left it with you? Like, hey, go get your fans back, show us something, and the door's open, or
Well,
what
I
was that
didn't really talk
conversation
to
like?
them directly because I had some management, and I had a couple of different managers kind of speaking for me and everything. So I don't really know what was said. But if I was the UFC, that's what I would be thinking. If I was the UFC, I'd be thinking, hey, go get some fights and see what happens. And, we never know what happens after a fight or after two. Things could go up, things could go down, things could go to the left or right. Other things can happen. I don't know. I'm not really thinking too much past this fight. I'm trying to get this fight. I'm trying to show my fans that I'm a really good fighter, and I can do some really good performances, and I can create a lot of momentum. So I think this fight is more about just showing that I don't need to pull guard, and I could beat somebody's ass. That's the plan.
Is that like the biggest takeaway? I guess the biggest learning experience being part of the UFC. I guess what have you taken away the most from your time there?
Well, with the UFC, I fought the best guys I could fight, and I always fought tough guys, and I thought at the time that if I was fighting the tough guys, and that if I lost or if I won, it wouldn't. Obviously, if you win, it's a skyrocket to success. But if you lose, you're still fighting the top guys. But I realize now that I took the hardest path in the UFC, and I chose to fight the hardest fights because I was trying to prove to myself, and I would continue to do that. But if I can't get a fight and I can't make money, then that changes everything. Like if I lose a fight, it doesn't mean, like, we live and we learn, we can move on. But if I can't make money and I can't eat and I can't provide for what I need to do, that changes everything. And I'd never been in that situation before. I'd always had a successful gym, and I've always had been able to be able to make money from fighting. And when they took that away from me and I wasn't able to get a fight, that kind of changed my whole perspective on the reality of the business side of things.
Well, now you can fight as often as you want now, right? So that kind of opens some doors for you, right? Especially obviously starting with December 12th. I mean, because you said you want to get back in pretty quickly. And if people follow you on Instagram, you haven't been sitting on the couch for a year. You're in pretty phenomenal shape. So I guess what has this year been like for you since the Bryce Mitchell fight came to an end and you've been trying to find a fight?
Yeah, it's been basically trying to find a fight. That's kind of what it's been. And I'm glad Victory VFL gave me the opportunity. We're gonna get this fight out of the way, see what happens, and keep moving forward and go from there. I'm really happy to get training, get the right people around me, get the pieces back on the board.
So when did they contact you? What was the conversation like? What was that
And it's a
conversation
lot of
like? Yeah.
they after the fight, my last fight, it was a lot of like gray area with the UFC. Nothing for sure bad, nothing for sure good. And then that went on for longer than I expected. And then so you never really know. And then other opportunities start to happen. And I mean, it's just the name of the game of negotiating. But whatever. We got here, we started making a deal. There were some other deals on the table, but this was the best deal for me. And yeah, that's basically it.
I mean, they've obviously done some very cool things. They did their first event like in the middle of Times Square. They're doing some really cool things in and around New York City. It's definitely a different kind of MMA promotion, one willing to take a little more risk in terms of aesthetics and making things happen and bringing on some big names like yourself. Have you been paying attention to what they've been doing? Have you noticed them sort of thinking outside the box a little bit?
I think yes. I think that because they're a new organization and they have a new mindset, and like they have this is their chance to kind of make their impression. You got to see what they can do, so you as a new event, as a new promotion coming onto the field, you know that's why I kind of think it's a good look for me, because it's new. It could go good, it could go bad, but it's a new thing that we're going to try to see to make it the best as possible. So it's different than something that's already had 200, 100 events, and they're kind of in the same bubble. So this is kind of a new opportunity for me to create a new event, be part of a new event, have more of an input on what can happen and what I want and what I think, and we'll go from there.
I like that. Do you know a lot about Tom Pucciano? 2 wins in a
No,
row. No.
no,
Okay. Have you learned anything about him?
not much.
No, not your
No,
thing. You're
I know
just
he's
focused on
tough.
yourself.
I saw one of his fights. He was tough. He fought a 5 round fight, and he's definitely tough. And like I saw him, you know, he didn't look like he was a quitter at all, and he looked like he was down to fight and everything that I've seen. So he's an up and comer. He's young. He's hungry. This is the biggest fight of his life. So I expect a tough fight.
What does this fight mean to you overall? I mean, it's the return. You've wanted to fight all year. Now you have a name, a date, a title on the line. You're the main event of this card. What does this fight mean to you?
I'm just trying to prove to myself and the fans that I'm better than what I've been able to show in these last couple fights. So I think there's no return. I've always been here. I've always been training, and I've always been active. We're always making adjustments, whether you win or lose. I don't think there's this return is what's happening. I just want to be able to show how good I really am, and I haven't been able to show that in the last two fights.
So how will it all go down? I mean, are we in the prediction game at this point in our careers, or
I don't know if the prediction. I'm not really big on predictions, but I'm confident that I'm gonna come to win, and that's what I'm going for.
before I let you go, I wanted to ask about your guy Nate Diaz because I thought they might slot him in there to fight Jake Paul again after the whole Tank Davis fiasco. I thought they might slot him in on short notice, but didn't happen. And it seems like he wants to fight and do it as soon as possible. So, I mean, I don't know what you can tell us, but what can you tell us about Nate and what he's planning? And you're a guy who wanted to fight all year. It seems like he's a guy that is willing to get a scrap in as soon as possible.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to get something done. It seems like he's trying to get a fight going. I don't know too much about it, but or want to disclose too much of his business, but I think he's always trying to make a big fight and make good money and make a good promotion and do the thing. He's always got fighting on the back of his mind. He's not ever thinking really about retirement. So he's always one to watch for, and he wouldn't give us something that we wouldn't want to see. He's an entertainer, and he wants to put on a big fight for us to be entertained, not necessarily just fight. I'm more in the position I just want to get a fight in right now. He's more, I think, in a position where he's trying to make a big fight and make a lot of money.
That's what it's all about. Kron, it's great chatting with you again. Don't miss Kron Gracie's Victory Fight League debut against Tom Pucciano for the featherweight title, the main event of VFL's The Road to Redemption. It's going down December 12th, Terminal 5 in New York City. And if you can't make it to the Big Apple, you can order it, watch live on meathook.live/VFL. Kron, thank you again. All the best to you heading into the matchup and in the fight itself. Excited to see you back in there.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.